very warm welcome to all our listeners. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you will enjoy this podcast. Hi, Nitin. Thank you so much for joining us on Blitz Business. It's good to have you.
Hi Ashish, it's lovely to have you as well. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Let's get started, Nitin. So, Nitin, first of all, if you can tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I was born in Calcutta in a simple traditional Marwadi family, and we quickly moved as a family to Mumbai, and I spent the rest of my life here. With a couple of years, of course, in the middle, I was in the UK where I did my masters. If I have to describe myself, I would like to call myself a learning enthusiast. I think whatever I've built until now is a result of my inquisitiveness and I think continuous learning mindset. So I joined the logistics industry, the logistics company which my father had built and started. But this joining of his company was a very reluctant sort of an act way back after I finished my masters. But now, in retrospective, if I have to see, yes, I think I'm very glad I did join him.
So, what was the reluctance?
I guess the industry. I mean, I saw him when I grew up. I saw him very stressed, very tensed. Picking his voice most of the time. I mean, that's what the traditional transport business was all about. You have to be at it on your toes all the time. So I grew up looking at him like that, and I thought this was not the industry I want to be a part of because it was full of quarrels, full of stress all the time. Yeah.
And is it the same now?
Well, I think that yes, a part of it is still the same, but the next generation has sort of understood where to draw the line, I think most of us have understood where we need to take the company and where we want to draw the line. Of course, a lot has changed and professionalism has stepped in. So even the
So, give,
customers sort of, yeah, sorry.
give us an example, Nitin, like how earlier it used to be a certain situation was handled versus now how the next generation, like you and others, are handling.
So there's a lot of information that was always kept, hidden in the earlier days, or sort of no one was available or no one was aware. Like, for example, a truck moving from place A to place B, only the driver of the truck would know where the truck is because the truck supplier or the transporter or the customer chasing the truck would not know where it is. The only way of communicating was if a driver calls you back. Now, of course, when I joined the company, there was a telephone or a mobile phone that was available. But much later now, I think there's a GPS tracking device or there are SIM card tracking devices available. So it's not so tough to understand where the driver is with your cargo. And accordingly, this information can be passed on to the customer at a click of a button. Or for that matter, most of it is always available. So that makes our life as logistic owners also very easy for the customer services. Yeah. So earlier, I have seen my father actually, sort of picking up the call, asking the truck owner or the broker as to गाड़ी कहाँ है, पहुंचाओ jaldi and things like that.
Hmm.
So which is not the case anymore. Yeah, fortunately.
Fortunately. And how was your preference for city, Calcutta or Bombay?
So yeah, Mumbai, of course, I think I've grown here. I live the city to the fullest. So I think living or choosing a city a lot depends on your social circle or now where you've grown and where you've been comfortable. When I go back to Calcutta now, of course, I see a lot of warmth uh, and a slow-paced life as compared to Bombay, but I would still prefer Bombay any day.
Okay. And in terms of when you sort of in this business, what has changed? You mentioned like technology is playing a game in this entire
Mm,
aspects and different
mm,
things, but in
yeah,
the end, from business perspective, right? It's a volume driven, thin margin business, right?
correct.
So, what are the targets you in your head you're taking? For example, what do you want to achieve versus what was the milestones set by your father, for example?
So, if if I have to think, I think the mindset which my father may be having was more on serviceability because serviceability then of course now also matters a lot, but that was a challenge, to service our customers without technology available. Now I think it's a growth mindset. The mindset is scalability because, like you said, it is a very thin volume-driven business, and until or unless you grow over a period of time, you cannot sustain in the business. So scalability is definitely what I would say is my strategy moving forward. But scalability with a lot of riders, it comes with a lot of riders, Ashish. So it does come with a lot of team effort, teamwork putting together, a lot of mindset that has to be changed within the customers. So yeah, that's what it is.
So scalability in terms of, so how do you sort of establish scale? Like what are the KPIs? Like more trucks, more um, what are those metrics you look into, when you say more scalable, and what is your plan to what level you want to scale?
Correct. So, of course, scalability in this business would, or any business would mean more customers. And with scale, I think the logistics companies are now more focusing or should focus on diversifying into various other modules. For example, it could not only be focusing on transportation, but be complementing business like warehousing, like packing and moving, or flexible warehousing, things like that, which will so you have to come with a bunch of services to a customer. Uh, and of course, going forward, people would now expect, or customers would definitely expect us to be on a multimodal level, not only providing them with surface transport, but also waterways, airways, should be, I think, the future. So yeah, scalability should happen in a very structured manner, depending upon in what phase your company is. But for me, it would definitely mean a more sustainable environment where both the team and the company is growing together.
Understood. And in last, I think 4 5 years, Nitin, a lot of
Mm.
startups have come up in this space. I'm assuming in
Yeah.
logistics also. I know a few of them also. So, are, did it fascinate you to see how the startups are operating, or any plans to, or already have you made some investment in startups? So, what's your thought process around this entire ecosystem?
So yes, I've seen the startups come. Some have scaled exponentially, and some have not been able to sustain as well. Uh, it's a dramatic turn of events, and I think they also kept on our toes to think beyond the traditional approach of scaling businesses. So when we were scaling up, we thought we would okay, customers आ गए, हमने service दे दिया, just keep repeating it. But when startups came, they scaled up so fast, which I did in 20 years, they would have done it in 2 years. That's
Oh
the
wow.
that's the quickness that with which they scaled up. But of course, there was a steady plan. They were making losses in the process of scaling up, which does not go well with my thought process of building a business. It should not start like that. Businesses are meant to make profits for both the business owner and the employees and the customers. So, going back to what your question is, yes, I think I've definitely seen them, but it has definitely helped us. The startup culture has helped us also to scale up and to, think beyond the box.
Got it. So Nitin, in this entire sort of your journey, so what keeps you going? What keeps you motivated?
I think, I've always been fascinated with learning new concepts, and also because, I lost my father much earlier. So I believe there was a certain gap or a certain void that has come into place, which has led me to, learn the ropes of running a business. And that's what keeps me going now, because when I meet a few mentors, or when I read a good book, I realize that, हाँ, ये काम ऐसे भी हो सकता है. Why didn't I think of it earlier, or why didn't I think of it like that? So when we meet as a group also, when we look at different perspectives, it fascinates me that a certain problem has multiple solutions, and you can sort of select which just suits you the best.
And in this journey, Nitin, kabhi aisa you didn't feel like ki, or maybe you want to try new businesses while this business has been sort of established and you know ki kya problems aayega, nahi aayega, you know the in and out of the
Yeah.
business, right?
Yeah.
So, do you have such plans or already you have done such things?
So yeah, so we traditionally we have a 50-year-old logistics company which is called by the name of Mega Freight Movers. And when this company reached a certain stage of self-sustainability, I realized I am getting the itch of building something again from the scratch. That's when we started our company Mega Pack and Carry, which is a different vertical altogether. Of course, has its ethos in logistics, but does have a packing and moving activity to do, which is now directed towards the end consumer and not a B2B model, more on the B2C model. So that's which we built. Yes, and I think one should, or one entrepreneur should start building some businesses as we go along. It sort of keeps you motivated, keeps you encouraged, and challenges you as well.
Uh, Assuming Nitin, if you were to be given a ekdam fresh slate, what will be the
Uh,
first business you would have started? Forget logistics and in this entire packing, in this iske spectrum, what would you have started if you were given a fresh slate?
Interesting turn of discussion, Ashish, and and this is something that I've answered many times 20 years ago when I was to join my father's business. I would have loved to be in the hotel industry. I think I'm a very
Wow.
people's person, and
Hmm.
running a small hotel or restaurants is something I would have loved to do back then. But after stepping into the logistics industry, I've never looked back. I've always sort of uh, stayed here and tried to make the best out of it.
Wow. Very interesting choice. So
Yeah.
any you had some inspiration, you met certain people during your back in the days, what fascinated you about hotels?
I think meeting people, meeting different people, conversing with them, and a culture of diversity coming together, learning from them, interacting with them is very enjoyable. Um, and sort of logistics industry is a little dry when it comes to this. We do, of course, meet a lot of people, but it's very rarely that you encounter a, a discussion which is leading to a learning discussion. You don't take anything back. You already know what the customer wants, or what the employees want, and things like that. But in a hotel industry, I just find the culture and the vibe really cool.
Wow, fascinating.
Hmm.
um so any plan in future, maybe now? Oh, no.
So I do run a small farm in Igatpuri, which was built for our own sort of luxury sort of enjoyment. But we have started leasing it out to families who want to enjoy the weekends. And I think I sort of take my take my hotel sort of dreams there. So though extremely small and extremely intimate, but I enjoy that. Yeah, running the
So,
farm. Yeah.
oh, that's nice. So I had couple of hoteliers come to the podcast, and it was a thorough, enjoyable, experience because, as you said, they are people's person, and the way they can correlate things and talk. One of the most fun conversations I had on this podcast, including this one also.
Thank you.
So then, moving on. Um, okay, so Nitin, for the then moving on, you mentioned you have sort of established another company in packing. So what is that next milestone? So for example, like for next 5 years, you want to touch a certain revenue numbers or add vertically integrate, maybe add something else. So what are those certain milestones now you're looking at um, for the next 5-10 years or whatever the time frame you have in mind?
So, of course, we are expecting a radical change in any industry that we are in right now, whether it is logistics or hotels or any other industry, because there's so much more AI going on, and there's a lot of artificial intelligence that we are talking about. So it's tough to sort of look at a 10-year period, Ashish, because there's so much rapid changes happening in each industry. So if I have to look at a smaller, period, say maybe 2 to 3 years, yes, I would look at more sustainable models. I would look at more areas where we can provide customers with a better service in terms of something that is out of the box once again, something that is never heard of, never seen. Because the packing industry is in India is very, very naive, very small, still growing. Indians, in on a whole, you would see are very jugadu people, and I love that about us. So when it comes to packing and moving, and we started that, we realized that there are a lot of our customers who will want to, do their own little packing in their own gunny bags, very haphazard manner, but very innocently sort of done. Uh, and I would want to change that perspective from the jugaad that they do and the process that uh, you know, uh, they follow in managing their moves from one house to the other. It takes only a fraction of the amount more to hire professional services and get the entire stress managed by someone else. So I would want that change to happen in a couple of years where packers and movers are considered a good alternative to the jugaad.
Let's talk a little bit about technology. You mentioned AI, so I absolutely love technology. That's what my background is. So I recently got a chance to see a trial in Europe, of these self-driving trucks. So
Hmm.
let's talk about little about that. Is that sort of thing happening here? I know the technical challenges in terms of the road infrastructure, a random car appearing anywhere, or all these sort of challenges. But do you think these things are feasible here in India from self-driving perspective, because it can reduce driver cost? But I'm not too sure is that too much of a bottleneck in India, the cost of
So,
drivers.
I had this very interesting conversation with my drivers of my trucks the other day, and I was telling them that we need to grow and sort of, think beyond the box. Kind of a discussion is what I was having with the drivers. And I told them that, yeah, listen, this is what is happening in the West, and we have self-driving trucks that are coming up, and I'm sure India will have that soon. And they said, sir, इस जीवन में तो हमें नहीं देखने को मिलेगा because इंडिया में अगर लोग सड़क पे खुद भी ठीक से चल लें तो भी बहुत है. ट्रक तो बहुत
सही
आगे की
बात है.
बात है. So, keeping the jokes apart, of course, I think the country is not ready for such a big change. Uh, Whether it is traffic or the infrastructure is extremely sort of new or underdeveloped. So, I think self-driving trucks will definitely take some time to come, unless self-driving cars take a hit on the road and that process is enjoyable. People have, sort of accepted it. Maybe then self-driving trucks may come.
What about
But like I
Nitin?
said, many years to come.
Yeah. What about Nitin? Drones taking, or is it like too small of a payload or package which is not suitable from your business perspective?
No, so it does not suit our business perspective because we are in the more heavier, larger cargo or moving the entire truckload of material, which a drone would not be able to do. But for parcel services, I love the technology. I like the fact that a drone can be used for ultimately to reach locations where it's tough for a person or a human to reach. Having said that, the security issues that the drones come with, of course, has to be looked into. I don't like the idea of, peeping into somebody's privacy when it comes to drones. But yeah, if there can be a tech that can take care of that, why not? Yeah, it's most welcome.
So in this business, Nitin, what is the सबसे बड़ा challenge है क्या in this entire logistics business? Is it the people, the transportation itself? Like, which is the biggest challenge till now for you?
So I think the biggest challenge, Ashish, is very clearly because it's a service-driven industry, the human resource sort of takes the cake when it comes to the challenges. I'll tell you why, because the transport industry invariably, sort of attracts the uh, less educated crowd. Not everybody is very open to the idea of coming here and working as a supervisor or a truck driver or a traffic manager for that matter. So this industry sort of attracts that kind of crowd, and to expect them to give the best of services to customers, challenging hota hai. When I say challenging, I don't mean that it is impossible. Of course, we are doing it since so many years, but to overcome that challenge, you have to be with your team all the time, making sure that they understand, they learn the ropes much quickly, uh, so that the customers can be serviced very well. The customers, on the other hand, are extremely polished corporate employees who expect it to work like any other clockwork. कि अपने आप क्यों नहीं हो रहा है ये सब? Why do we have to follow? Why do we have to keep asking for things? So the challenge is to make sure that your team understands that and is in sync with the customer's requirement, which is again also changing. So what we try and do is to make sure we have a very steady training calendar and a very repetitive training calendar so that we can touch base on these points, discuss with the team members where they are finding it tough or where they are not able to align themselves with the customer's requirement or with the changing times so that we are a step ahead of what the customers may need.
Understood. And
Yeah.
how was this last couple of years, especially the pandemic,
Hmm.
for you guys as a company?
So actually, Mega Pack and Carry, our company which does the packing and moving, formed on 5th March 2020. And with all the dreams that we will be shifting so many homes, these are the customers we will be targeting, these are the customers we already have businesses with, and all that just crashed coming down by the 25th of March because the pandemic was there.
Wow. Yeah.
So within 25 days, all our dreams, aspirations were crushed to the to the ground, and we were not sure what we were going to do. But like they say, it's one doors close and the many others open, sort of a thing. So we we immediately resorted to giving the individuals services of storing their household goods in our warehouses because all of them wanted to leave a city like Mumbai, Delhi, Hyderabad, and go back to their hometowns where they came from, and they didn't know how to do that. So we sort of gave them a service that okay, we will pack your belongings and we will put them in our warehouse at 1/5 of the rentals you may be paying in an apartment. And whenever you're ready to come back to Bombay, your material will be ready for you. And you can always, take a new apartment or go back to the same apartment, and we'll get your things delivered. We did not know then, Ashish, is this is going to take a while. And the customers who came to us in the month of May, June, and July of 2020 actually stayed with us and we warehoused their goods for over 1 year, maybe more than that, 1.5 years as well.
Oh, wow.
So we didn't know it was going to be that rapid and that quick that so many customers would actually land up coming to us. So the pandemic did tell us that you have to be just keep your head above the water and you will definitely survive. So that happened, and then of course we also did a lot of IT peripheral packing and moving for all the IT companies who wanted to send laptops and bring laptops back from their employees. So we did that in large numbers, in thousands of numbers in a day. So that kept our company going.
And what was the, I assume, how do you differentiate in this segment, being such a traditional business, So is it the relationships or the work, the volume of work you have done in the past? Like, what is the difference? How does the differentiation comes from?
I think we, of course, in our company, I would like to say that the differentiation we do is always taking decisions based on data, which is also not, very common in the industry because most companies don't have data to bank upon. Uh, when I moved into my company, I made sure that everybody has access to a computer. Even the loading supervisors have access now to a smartphone. And we are sharing and receiving data from each point there and making sure that the review meetings do tell them that this is how the data is shaping up because of your input or because of what you're doing. So that's where I think we sort of differentiate ourselves because data is very important in taking decisions based on data. It becomes easy for both me as a business owner and for our staff members that to sort of assess where we are going and why such a decision was taken.
So is it Nitin, you have assume you have SLS कि इतने time में आपको पहुंचाना है वरना payment does it get affected or
Yes, so we do have a strong SLA from the corporate customers as well as our B2C packing and moving customers because the product once taken in our hands has to fit the transit time and has to be delivered within the transit time, and that's the biggest KPI. Yeah,
and did you see any sort of trends? It just came to my mind, since pandemic happened, work from home आया, so a lot of people just went into their towns mostly, and till now I was just discussing with a couple of people. Some of them are not ready to come back. They are like cost
yeah,
है, city में रहना is a cost, travel एक cost अलग है, I can save more if I'm in my hometown. So
yeah.
in terms of your business, when you looked at it, did you see some sort of trend emerging, or right now it's still happening? Like people are moving to towns, or are they back in city? Kuch aisa, anything you have to something to
So
share
I
with
think
us?
it's more to do with industry specific. I think the IT and the tech industry is definitely still open to the idea of working from home. I know the biggest tech companies haven't called their employees back to office. There are other companies, corporate companies, who are still giving a couple of days off and work from home concept still continues. But until when, ultimately for a company or employees to sort of survive, uh, and to grow more than survival. I think grow, I think to meet each other is extremely important. To have that physical meetings are very important. So I don't see that this trend should continue. Yes, the trend may emerge that the tier two, tier three cities in themselves will grow and become a bigger hub for employees to stay, work, and for companies to see as tier two, tier three cities to become their head offices. That could be a great trend to see. But when it comes to staying back, and the work from home concept, I strongly believe one should come back to office because that's where the culture uh, can be sort of handed over to the employees. It's not always so easy to do that online. I think physically, when you meet each other, it's not only about the work, it's the culture that a company runs on has to be passed on.
So I assume you are in the group of not for work from home, but against.
Absolutely. I personally feel when I started working from home, I was a mess. I was a complete mess. So I think I want to take that from my own life and, sort of duplicate it for everyone around me.
And abhi social media pe there is this thing or hot topic hai. Let me take your opinion also. So Narayan Murthy recently said कि young guys or people should work 70 hours a week. तो
Hmm.
पूरा social media थोड़ा divide है. कोई कुछ है, कुछ
Uh,
different perspectives है. What is your perspective? 70 hours a week होना चाहिए, क्या होना चाहिए, और what do you expect from your employees?
Uh, yeah, so I get this question a lot from my own employees and the people who I work with as to sir, हमारे ऑफिस में पहले बहुत झगड़ा होता था आशीष कि सर मैं तो 10 सवा 10 बजे आई फिर मुझे लेट हो गया और मैं तो 11 बजे आ रही हूँ और मैं 11 बजे आ रहा हूँ that kind of thing. And I always kept back in telling them that the number of hours really don't matter. You can actually put in as many hours in the office as you want, but then quality is definitely more important than quantity any given day. So even if I sort of bind them within the 70 hours or an 80-hour week, how does that matter? Ultimately, they have to be productive. So instead of focusing on the hours that an employee will put in, we should definitely focus on how productive the employee is and if he has more time on hand, whether he's learning and growing, in his field.
So you're one of the chill bosses, I assume then. Like आराम से आ सकते हैं ऑफिस में 10 साढ़े 10 11.
No, so I'm not one of the chill bosses when it comes to productivity. It should definitely not die down. But yeah, if you see my culture in my offices, I am not very strict about timings.
Understood. Understood. And let's move little forward then, Nitin. So what is, apart from बहुत work का हमने discuss हो गया, तो मतलब work work
Yeah.
work, but इसके अलावा what do you do? What do you enjoy most doing work के अलावा?
Other than work, I think I'm a very hands-on father, Ashish. I'm a father of three wonderful kids, and I really like spending time with them. Uh, Thoroughly enjoy every moment with them, honestly. And when it comes to personal, I like reading. I like to paint whenever I get the time to. That's very rare though, but I would like to, maybe paint more often. And
Any book suggestion, Nitin?
I'm currently reading this book called Traction. Have you read it, Ashish?
I have read the title somewhere.
So it's by Gino Wickman, and he talks about getting a grip on your business. It's a great learning procedure because it sort of gives you right from scratch a really good EOS, entrepreneur's operating system. And the way he demystifies the whole business development is really unique. It's wonderful.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Um, and sorry, you were saying something else before. Uh, Apart from the books, you were going to mention something.
I said, I think painting and traveling, of course, who doesn't like traveling? But yeah, these are the things I would like to do more often if given the time.
And are you like social media? Are you updated with all the memes, or you stay away from social media?
You know, who can stay away from social media today? I mean, I really think we will be in social in a lot of ways if we are not in social media. But I do want to restrict my time. I'm very mindful of where and when am I using social media. So I've actually spent hours on social media, and now I'm sort of zoning out of it. So one should be very mindful of that. One should not spend too much time on social media. I hope my daughter is listening.
Are you able to control their social media time? I mean, in children, I assume it's very difficult. They're glued to the
It's tough,
screens.
you know,
Yeah.
because then again, I think the times have changed, and the children of today are using social media not from the social media we know of. They are actually, their life is on social media. They're conversing with each other on social media. They are chatting, learning, everything on social media. So there was a very good, you know, lines I had read somewhere that it is not the parents today who raise the kids; it's the social media who raises the kid. So if you can control the what they watch on social media, you can control your children as well.
So there's this interesting trend which I got to observe. So in our circle, friend circle, or maybe in the friend circle, children, etc., etc. So earlier we used to hear like, "Hey, I read this thing. Do you know this happened? I read about this." And
Hmm.
lately it has been, what I saw on Insta. So every the source has become Insta for
Yeah,
at least
yeah.
within our circle. It's like, hey, I saw this. Usse pehle till like few years back till it was like I read something. And reading has gone down the hill.
So yeah, I totally get that, because I see that in my employees, in my at my home, everywhere that people are spending a reckless amount of hours on social media, and they really need to wake up because it's going to make them very, very unproductive. They're going to lose out on extremely important quality time they can spend elsewhere on their own growth, their career growth, or for that matter, even communicating, interacting with actual humans.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah, yeah, one has to be very mindful.
That is true. Awesome. And then Nitin, touching little bit about uh, financials. So, do you guys plan to raise any capital? Have you guys raised any capital in the past? What is that sort of?
No,
How
so
is it looking?
we haven't honestly raised any capital in the past. We're pretty much bootstrapped all along and want to maintain that. considering the kind of structure or organic growth we are seeking. We are not we are not actually eyeing the inorganic growth yet. But like I said, the business strategies and the way businesses are growing it's changing every couple of years. So we don't know what's coming. Until now, we have no plans.
But never the temptation looked, never the temptation got you when the capital was easy to raise, not now. Like in the last couple of years.
Well, never really. It never crossed my mind. I think it was again of my traditional Marwadi family, which sort of kept me away from taking that step. And I think organic growth is good. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, it's controlled, it's profitable, and I would rather answer my team for whatever we have done instead of answering or getting questioned from someone external.
True, true. It
Hmm.
do bring a lot of flexibility in terms of how the speed, the pace, how you want to grow, etc. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Awesome, awesome. Thanks a ton, Nitin, for being so candid and giving us, insights into this space. Yeah, if you want to talk about anything else, if we may have missed any other things you want to share with us.
Well, not really, Ashish. It's been extremely enjoyable. I didn't even realize how we spent the last half an hour just chit-chatting with each other, and it was so wonderful talking to you. And I hope I made sense for everyone who's listening to this podcast. Would like to end the discussion that one should definitely keep learning. Entrepreneurship is something that can be learned, and I sort of realized that much later in my career. I just want to send this message out to all the young entrepreneurs who want to have their own businesses. It can be learned, and it's not gifted by anyone.
Great point to end the podcast with, and thank you for the book suggestion. I was looking for something, and now I know what to read next.
Perfect, and we'll connect. I'm sure we'll connect offline to discuss more books.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Nitin.